What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on D's Analysis. We're going to be looking at MSTR and Bitcoin today. So we're just going to do a little rundown for the week of what's to come. We still have price sandwiched in between this golden zone here. That is acting as a key level of resistance. That's going to be our point that we need to break. If we want to see some kind of relief rally, it's got to start after 430 or 450. That's my guess if I were to say when we were to start seeing a significant push to the upside. Of course, I can always be wrong, but that's just my guess. For now, this is going to be a key level of resistance to the downside, but this is also going to be a key level of support to the upside, and that's why we're sandwiched in between here. And usually when price is boxed up, it usually has to make some kind of decision. So ideally, you draw something out where you have support there, resistance there and support here, and price is either gonna break up, retest and go up, or break down, retest and continue on down. That's how I used to trade. Box price in, trade the breakout, retest, and set your stop loss after the most recent high or low, depending on which direction you're going in. But that's for trading. That's a whole separate topic. We're investing at this point. But if we were to fall underneath this level here at about 354, that is going to open up the possibility of falling further to about, I would say roughly around, we could fall to 345. If we lose that, then I could see us falling to 315 in that region. Could get stopped here with this upward sloping trend line to get a bounce. But let's hope that we don't even see that level. I could also see us kind of wicking down. So let's say if we open here at around the same level, like 374, I could see us pushing down to get our wick just to retest this level to see if we want to break through to the downside or get a bounce. I could see us pushing off of this and then potentially getting a green body to fill this wick. That would be a nice bullish sign. Ideally, what we want to see this week is a close somewhere within this golden zone. We want to see a close somewhere in here. Ideally halfway or higher. Of course, the most bullish scenario is above the zone, sitting at 425 or something like that. That'd be the perfect scenario. Another scenario that I wouldn't really mind would be going sideways until we hit the trend line and then take off from there. And if that were to play out, then that's going to be looking similar to this move here, which was that initial touch off, which we already had. Our initial touch, push up, initial touch, push up, pull back to the gray trend line, then rally. Our touch of the trend line, push up, pull back to the gray trend line, and then potentially a rally. But of course, it does not have to play out like that, but I'm just matching up what I see from this first leg to the second leg, and it really makes sense. This leg looks a lot more like this one than this one. At first, it definitely looked like this one, but I have changed my outlook on it. It could turn out to be its own thing. Maybe it does its own thing. You can see how this one was kind of just vertical from the second touch of the trend line. But this one could end up actually, pushing up. Maybe we get a little bit of a retracement. Push up, a little bit of retracement, and then our final move. It doesn't have to play out the exact same way. But I am expecting higher targets, especially with the new instruments that Strategy has been introducing to help relieve the MSTR, the common shares. So we'll see where things take us. But like I said, on the SMAs, we are getting closer and closer to the 20-week. That should also be confluence to the upside if we actually touch it. So if we were to fall, like I said, if we fall underneath this 353 level and we're trying to make our way down, we could get a bounce off of this 333 level, which would coincide with this trend line. I'm sorry, with this SMA, the 20, which is a key level of support. And on the daily, we're underneath our 20, which we have to break above. Ideally, getting a close above that's going to be super bullish. And we definitely don't want to lose this 50. But this is also going to be a key level of support, the 50-day. And that's sitting at 355. So price is still sandwiched, but you have more support underneath price than resistance. The support is a lot stronger than the resistance. The strongest level of resistance is, like I said, this golden zone. That's pretty much the bulk of our resistance above our head at the moment. On Bitcoin, this is just looking so bullish. I mean, this is looking amazing. And I'm glad to see that the head and shoulders didn't play out. I was definitely a little concerned once I saw this daily close here underneath this level, but we got this nice green candle, which I was saying after this, I was saying hopefully we get a engulfing candle. It wasn't engulfing, but I was saying hopefully we got an engulfing candle to close back up here, which we did. But I was also saying there is a increased chance now that we closed under here to retest this level and continue on down. And if we did, potentially reaching this level of about 96K. But it looks like it didn't play out yet, but it doesn't mean that we're out of the woods, you know. Now, when you actually draw a trend line, it's actually looking like it's starting to break out. It's probably not the best trend line, but it's kind of somewhere around there. You get the idea. This was a downward sloping trend line. It looks like we kind of started to get a little bit of a breakout. And we got a little retest, so let's see if we can start breaking some of these wicks and push up higher. That would be ideal, and making it to the top of this range. That's what we want to see. I'm just waiting for Bitcoin to do something. It's just kind of just quietly just chopping away, really. Yeah, this head and shoulders definitely, it looked pretty good, like in terms of actually playing out, but you would have thought after seeing this close that, man, that's going to be an increased likelihood to the downside. But Bitcoin flipped very quick, which is a good sign. I definitely don't want it to go down, but I was just looking at the technicals, looking at the charts, and that's kind of the conclusion that I drew. On the SMAs on the daily, we're much closer than we are on MSTR to the 20 and further from the 50. We already got our bounce off the 50-day, but we're nearing that 20. So let's see if once we break that, along with this wick, let's see if we can get a nice little pop to the top of this channel. And let's see if we can break out of this range to the upside. Our key levels of support, like I said prior, are going to be somewhere along this trend line. Whenever we meet it, that's going to be a key level. And once we break that and get a close, I can definitely see us pushing much higher. Hopefully, 15, 20% from that breakout point. That'd be nice. If we were to break out, for instance, here, and we rallied, 20%, that puts us, out of 140, which is very possible because you could catch a little bit of FOMO and momentum after breaking that 120. Could kind of be a psychological level since it's, a 20% move above 100K. So it could get people going. Maybe even 125, who knows? But for sure 150 is going to be a psychological level. It could be 120 or 125. That's going to be a psychological level. People like these perfect numbers: 100K, 120, 125, 150, 200K. But yeah, things are looking good though, especially when you take a look here on global liquidity. We've still been rallying up higher, so we're still making fresh highs. We're kind of going a little bit of sideways, but that's okay. It's still going up higher, and that brings us to the dollar. As the dollar continues to fall, global liquidity will continue to rise. It looks like, we have this downtrend going, and it looks like it's going to continue. We got to push up, but I think that was just a little retest to continue the move down. We've already had multiple touches along the way. I would love to see a wick fill here, fill this wick up and close on the weekly. That's going to be our best case scenario, in my opinion. If we can get a close here at 98.3 within these wicks, that's going to increase our likelihood of retesting this and then breaking down further and continuing the trend. Right now the trend is very strong. I'll actually pull a fib here off of this most recent leg. Go from here and we'll adjust from there. We had a pullback from this point here to the 0.5 to the 6.8, which is a key level of resistance, pushing price further down. And if we move it down further, then we still didn't even make it to the 786. It was just at the 618, but a little bit deeper. But it's at the key levels right now, and it's still extremely bearish. It's underneath the 236. So things are looking very good right now in terms of price action to the downside. I can see this thing going much further down and reaching these targets, but that's going to be that key level. Actually, I'll draw it out. It's a more of a minor level, but we'll keep that there. We definitely got to break that. At 97.5, I think if we break that, then we can see 95, which would be a significant rally on Bitcoin. But we're not that far away from that, really. And this could also be part of the reason why we haven't seen a significant move in Bitcoin. We've kind of just been trending sideways here on the dollar. So you can see that large rally that we had on Bitcoin was during this last significant drop here. So it doesn't always play out that way, but I do believe in this condition right now that we're in, I do think that we could actually get that significant drop similar to this to ignite another rally to the upside. So we'll see where things take us, of course. But the price action is looking very bearish to the downside, which is bullish for Bitcoin. The reason it's bullish for Bitcoin is because the dollar dropping is bullish for global liquidity. So as global liquidity goes up, then we know, of course, Bitcoin will continue to follow. So we just want global liquidity to continue ramping upwards slowly but surely, and we know that Bitcoin will eventually follow. It doesn't have to follow, to the T exactly, but it will with time. Here on MSTR divided by Bitcoin, it was nice to see us hold the bottom of this upward sloping trend line and bottom of the channel. Now, we are at a key level right now where we closed above our 20-week SMA, which is key. We retested underneath and the bottom of the trend line, and now we're still underneath it right now, but let's see if we can actually continue to push and close or wick fill right here to 37 or higher, and then continue our move to the upside. But that's what we really want to see. We want to see MSTR start to outperform Bitcoin in a significant way and potentially get the MNAV up. Of course, the MNAV can, start to ride up if ATMs are, lessened on the commons shares and we start to hit the preferred stock instead. Strike, Strife, Stride. So those will help MSTR tremendously. And also, at the end of the cycle, if you were to, for instance, let's say you messed up the cycle and you messed up the timing, you can always just, hold your position as long as you have a decent position at, I honestly say anything 350 or lower. If you have a decent position there at that price and you mess up the timing and you can't sell closer to the top where you wanted, you can DCA into the next cycle and just hold it for another 3 years, continue adding every single time you get a paycheck. Every 2 weeks, throw some money in as much as you can that you're comfortable with, and just build up your stack for the next cycle too. So don't feel pressure of having to sell in this cycle. Of course, the ideal scenario is to sell here, buy back here. Of course, everybody wants to do that, but not everybody's going to be able to do that. So always keep that in mind so you're not too nervous when the time comes. But that's all I have for you guys. Like and subscribe. Super thanks if you guys are feeling gracious, and I'll see you guys in the next one.